I'm a retired guy. Thank you for recording this. I appreciate that. And thank you for the opportunity again. I wanted to make sure I got that on the recording. Lauren did a really great thing back in January, as a matter of fact. She went looking on LinkedIn for someone who could help her. And that someone actually ended up being me. But she contacted me in January and we talked about what to do. And I said, well, I am the LinkedIn guru, and I'm kind of like Farmers Insurance on LinkedIn. I know a thing or two about LinkedIn because I've seen a thing or two on LinkedIn. And I've been on LinkedIn myself since May of 2004. Now, I did basically the same thing as most people do back then. I just let it sit around for 3 years because I already had a job and didn't need a job. So I didn't really start teaching LinkedIn until 2008. And I started teaching LinkedIn because I wanted to learn more about LinkedIn. And you guys are my first engineering core, I guess. I mean, this Tau Beta Pi is an engineering um, uh, honor society, and I love talking with engineers because I'm kind of an engineer at heart, although I never was an engineer in my job or my career. Because I love engineers because they love to know how things work. And that's something that is extremely important as far as LinkedIn is concerned. You need to know how LinkedIn works in order to make it work for you. And I don't think I mentioned this, Lauren, back when we first talked. My father-in-law was actually an engineer for a company, and he worked for 55 years for a company that you guys might have heard of. It's a company here, actually headquartered where I live in Columbus, Ohio. It was called Battelle Memorial Institute, and that is an engineering firm that he worked for 55 years. So I know I love engineers, and I had a father-in-law that was one. So. Um, as Lauren said, this is, I like to have fun when I do this. So hopefully this will be fun for you as well. I want to make it as interactive as possible. So I want you to ask questions. So drop stuff in the chat box. I already saw a thank you, which was wonderful. You're welcome already. And hopefully you'll thank me when we're done as well. But I'd rather answer your questions than show you what I would normally show anybody else on LinkedIn, because of the fact that if you ask questions, I can give you what you need. Okay. And as a teacher, I've always found that there's this adage that is, if as a teacher, if I give you a fish, I feed you for a day. If I teach you to fish, I feed you for the rest of your life. So I'm going to try to teach you how to fish on LinkedIn, especially when it comes to finding more information about LinkedIn, because we only have an hour. And I got to give you the disclaimer here. If you think I'm going to tell you everything that there is to know about LinkedIn in an hour, I'm sorry, I can't talk that fast. I talk fast. You'll probably notice that I talk fast, but I don't talk that fast. So before I get started showing you anything as far as LinkedIn is concerned, are there any questions that I can answer to begin with? I have one for you, and if you want to chime in, that would be great as well. But I want to know what you want to use LinkedIn for. I realize that Lauren is actively in the job search. If you look at her profile, you'll see that she's actively in the job search. But is that all you guys want to use LinkedIn for? Because it's so much more than just a job search tool, believe me. So what would you like to use LinkedIn for?
I actually had a question because I feel like I discover new companies in like the industry I'm looking at every day. So I would like to learn how to find more companies, like say in the space industry
In a
or
particular
something
industry,
like that.
or yeah, okay. Well, one of the ways that you can find companies is you can go searching for them. You can just search for an industry name if you want to, and that will actually bring up those kinds of companies. So let me share my screen and give you an example. I mean, even if it's just a broad example like engineering, it will work. So this is going to stop uh, Lauren's share, and I'm going to share my screen. And so now you're going to see my profile. And on LinkedIn, no matter what page you're on, there's this search bar up at the top. And so if I type in the word engineering, okay, so notice that what it's trying to do is help me as much as possible. Okay, it will actually talk about, engineering in jobs. Engineering is groups. Groups are a special area of LinkedIn that you can join to talk about a particular subject, topic, or industry, as an example. Okay, if you're looking for engineering entry level, you might want to do that, but it'll probably bring up jobs. But picking just engineering, let's just be broad as far as engineering is concerned. And it might have actually even said engineering and companies up here somewhere else, but that's a particular engineering company. What I'm going to do is click see all results. And then what I can do is once it brings up this results, I can click the company's filter button here, and that will then start bringing up engineering companies. And as you can see, there are 569,000 results here. So I might want to skinny this down just a touch. So instead of looking, if you guys are all local in Detroit, okay, let's look for Detroit companies. So in the Detroit metropolitan area, how many engineering companies are there? Well, there's 3,300 results. So that will help as well. But then you can even pick a particular industry if you want. And I'm just going to pick mechanical or industrial engineering. That sounds a little familiar as far as Lauren is concerned, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see how that would be and then show those results. So now I'm down to 297 results. And now I can start clicking on each of these companies, going and investigating them, looking at them. It will tell me if I actually have if I know anyone at any of those companies. You can also do something that's extremely important. If you see one of these companies that you want to be a target company for yourself, I highly recommend that you click the follow button, because the follow button will actually show you posts for that company in your feed. So does that answer your question, Lauren?
It does. That is really cool. I've never tried to do that before.
It's just a matter of the search and the search results. And as a matter of fact, as you can see, their search results have changed over time. I can even pick a size of company. So if I want a company that's no larger than 1,000 employees, I can go all of these at once that says 1 to 1,000 employees, show the results again, and now I'm down to 281 results. So again, and there are more filters, by the way. Those are the filters that it just identified for me. There's another button called all filters, which I can even filter even deeper into those if you'd like to. And let me illustrate. So let's just pick one of these companies. I'm just going to pick the second one just out of, it even says that there are 9 jobs out here. So if I'm looking at this company, it says, here are the 78 employees on LinkedIn. So once you delve into a company, then you can actually open up the company, okay, employees, and see the results of the company employees. And then I can say, okay, again, with filters, do I know anyone? Show results for first level. No, I don't. Okay. So let's show who I might, let's show who, I got to back up, pardon me. So let's back up and do connections that are second degree or something along those lines. And I probably, again, it depends. Usually you can find somebody that way, but it just depends on the company. If I was looking locally, perhaps in my Columbus, Ohio area, I probably would find someone that I would know if that was a company that I was looking for. Okay, other questions? Honestly, this is about answering your questions. And again, I'm assuming that since you folks are all a part of the Tau Beta Pi, that you are going to eventually be looking for a job. But it's much more than that, because it's a very, very, very high-powered networking tool to network with others in your industry as well. As an example, one of the things that happened to me this morning is that because of the pandemic, I kind of went a little bit more global than I would have before. A lot of my seminars were local here in the Columbus, Ohio area. But now, since the pandemic in 2020, I've gone a lot more global with my seminars as well, because I wasn't able to go out and do seminars in person. As a matter of fact, Friday was my first in-person seminar for more than 2 years, and I did it for a group of high school students, seniors, here at a local vocational school. But here's how great of a networking tool it can be. For example, this morning, I just did a Zoom call with a lady in Las Vegas, a gentleman in Dubai, and another lady in Brussels. So it's that kind of tool, and those people I'm connected to all of those folks, and I got connected with every single one of those folks through LinkedIn. So it's a fabulous networking tool as well.
Jeff, I think we do have a question. Sophia?
Hi. So I saw you were filtering out the results by first and second degree connections. So let's say you did find one you did find a result that had some sort of connection, like what would you do with that? Like, would you, if you were to reach out, would you like make reference to like this specific connection, or like what, yeah, what would you do with that?
Well, it depends on the degree of connections. Okay, everybody understands the 6 degrees of separation, that kind of thing about, there are only 6 degrees between you and anyone else in the world, in the universe for that matter. But it depends on whether it was a first degree connection, which means I was already connected with the person, or a second degree connection. Now, understanding what that means, first degree connections means that I'm connected with the person. Lauren and I are actually not connected. We're connected in a different way because we're not connected on LinkedIn, but we're connected because we shared emails and we've connected that way. But we're not actually connected on LinkedIn itself. But if there was a first degree connection, what you could do is reach out to that connection by going to their profile, clicking the message button, and sending that person a message that says, hey, I'm about to be in the job market and I'm looking for jobs in this particular area. Would you know of any, or would you know of someone else that I should talk to? Does that make sense? It's the beauty of networking. I mean, networking is all about someone who knows someone who knows someone, et cetera. Now, if a person is a second degree connection, what you can do is you can actually message one of your first degree connections to have you introduced to one of your second degree or bigger connections. Does that make sense? That's why it's such a great tool, because you can leverage every single person you already know. Okay, and in Lauren's case, for example, I can look to see in Lauren's case how many connections she. Oops, that was not the right Lauren. I apologize. We got off of you there, Lauren. Yeah, there we go. We got off of you. Now I'll bring you up. Okay, so I can actually see that Lauren has 55 connections. Now I can't see who those connections are, but I can see that she has 55. And if we were a second degree connection, I could then, then I could actually ask her to introduce me to one of those second degree connections, as an example. So that's the beauty. And while we're on Lauren here, I think she's done some great stuff. First of all, she's actually put up a banner which talks about mechanical engineering. I would suggest that it's a picture that I got it because I've talked to you before, Lauren, but just a picture without words might be a little with words might be a little better. So you've got the music. You might want to put some of the lyrics up there as well. So put some keywords up here that would actually help you tell people what it is you're looking for specifically in mechanical engineering, as an example. And I got to tell you, I was already impressed by Lauren putting in an actual professional headline here that said mechanical engineering student with, well, and we talked about this one before, Lauren. I knew you were a Coastie. Yeah, I knew you were a part of the Coast Guard at one point in time. But one of the things that impressed me was this 3.94 GPA. I went to college and I had a 3.95 GPA when I graduated, and I got to tell you, I know how tough that is. That's like 1B in all of the classes she's ever taken. 1B will take you down to 3.94, and it can't be any lower than a B either. So you get the idea. One of the things that Lauren did that was really extremely smart is that when she looked me up, one of the things she did was she went to my about section and she read my about section. So networking with people, finding out more about them. If you want to connect with someone, I highly recommend that you read their about section and mention something in your connection message, okay, that will actually tell them that you read their about section, because people appreciate that when you do that, and then they will be much more liable to actually connect with you if you send them a message. Now, by the way, speaking of which, normally, and this is extremely important, I hope that I'm not telling you folks something you already know, but one of the best things that you can do and the best way for you to connect with someone is to go to their profile and click the connect button that is on their profile. Now, some people will have a follow button, some people won't have a connect button, but more normally, if anybody is open to connecting, if you go to their profile, you'll see a connect button. In this case, Lauren and I are 3 degrees apart, so she doesn't have a connect button. LinkedIn wants to make me think that I'd need to pay for LinkedIn, even though Lauren is actually paying for LinkedIn. See, I can tell that by this gold. I can tell that by that gold icon. Okay, but LinkedIn wants to make me think that I can't connect with Lauren. Okay, because and a lot of times when you click the message button, LinkedIn will say, "Oh, you can't connect with Lauren unless unless you pay for LinkedIn and you can send something that they call an in-mail." Okay, well, don't you believe it? Okay, because if you go to someone's profile and you don't see a connect button, and this person is someone you really do want to connect with, all you have to do is click the magic more button, and the connect button will pop up. Now, the reason I said that it's important that you go to their profile, I also want to say something else that's extremely important as well. It's extremely important that you add a note when you connect, which is why I tell people that when you're trying to connect, never do it from the phone. Please don't do it from the phone, because if you click the connect button from the phone, it will just send them a generic message that says, "Hi, I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn network." And I'm sorry, that and 450 will get you a cup of coffee, but it won't get you a connection in many, many instances. The actual click the connect button, go to the desktop, click their profile, go to their profile, click this connect button, okay, and then it will actually say that Lauren prefers to be followed. So she's actually turned on her follow button. Yeah, you've got a preference out there in your settings, Lauren, where it's set that you should be following instead. So you might want to look that one up and change it if you'd rather be connected with. But it doesn't keep me from connecting. All I have to do is continue to click connect, and then I can actually here add a note. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to get to, is that it's extremely important that you give a person a reason for connecting with you, and you can get that reason usually out of their about section. Even if it was the fact that, again, Lauren and I have actually been referred to one another. Mentioning someone else's name that that person knows is a good thing in your connection add note as well, because they already know that other person, and if they already know and like and trust that other person, you might be a good person to connect with as well. Does that make sense? That's a long-winded answer to your question. But hopefully, did I get it?
Yes, thank you. I also have
Okay.
one more question about
Go for
your
it.
um references to the about on someone's profile. So you said like you like that Lauren adjusted her about section to somehow respond to yours. So are you suggesting that when we reach out to certain people, if we're trying to reach out one at a time, that like we should kind of like change our about section to somehow like
Not necessarily change your about. What I said was, Sophia, is if you're reaching out to someone, you should try to get a reason for reaching out and something that you noticed from their about section. Okay.
okay.
But back to your own about section, your profile is one of the most important things that you're ever going to do. It's just as important as your resume, maybe even more important. Okay, because I kind of look at resume and LinkedIn as two different things. Don't just copy and paste your resume onto LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is on social media. So it's a broader perspective. Think of your resume and LinkedIn as these two things. Your resume is the steak, LinkedIn is the sizzle. Okay, because it's a lot more about marketing on LinkedIn than it is. And again, I would highly recommend to Lauren that she include a lot more in her about section here, because this is where she can get the first chance to tell her story about what it is that she wants to be when she grows up, if you will. Okay, or what she's passionate about, or what she's interested in talking to other people about, and people will read her about section and actually then reach out to her because she did that. Okay.
Thank
So your about section is important to tell your customers, if you will, the people who come to your profile. Their about section is important when you're trying to connect with them, because you can find a good reason to mention to them that you saw something that you would like to connect with them about. Now, just let me ask this question so that I can determine whether or not I should show this or not. By vote, is there anybody who already does know? And again, this is about the give you a fish or teach you to fish. Is there anybody else on LinkedIn that most people don't know it? Because LinkedIn, I found over my years with LinkedIn, there's two things about LinkedIn that they love to do. They love to hide stuff, and they love to change stuff. Okay, so from that perspective, the thing that they try to hide all the time is the help button. Do you folks know how to get help on LinkedIn? because I'm not going to be, the LinkedIn Guru is open 24/7, 365 out there on LinkedIn, but I'm not going to be available that much after this hour that we spend together. So if somebody knows how to find the help button, tell me now. Otherwise, I'll wait for a few seconds here and I'll show you where to find the help button. Should I be playing Jeopardy music or something? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe,
I've
yeah.
definitely never heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah, usually like I've never seen anything that kind of nothing like a guide. Like usually websites have, at least in the beginning, they'll like kind of show you, the works, but LinkedIn has nothing like that. It's kind of just you got to jump into it and they expect you to know everything. Or like you said, they kind of hide everything. So
They
I've never
do. They do hide a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's one of those things that it makes sense once you know where. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you to fish. I'm going to show you where the help button is on LinkedIn. The help button, when you're thinking about asking LinkedIn for help, you're saying to LinkedIn, help me, help me. Okay, does that give you a clue where it is? It's right up here underneath the me. If you click the me, there is a help button. Now, when that opens up, it opens up in a small little window like this. When I tell people to use the help, I almost always tell them to click on open help in a new tab because it gives you a whole bunch more, okay, real estate to work with, and actually opens it up in a new tab so that now I can start actually doing something about this. Okay, so basically now here's where I can type in a word or a phrase and I can start to look up something on LinkedIn. Let's say, for example, you want to know how to ask somebody to recommend you, one of your connections to recommend you, for example. Okay, so if you look up the word recommendations, okay, on LinkedIn, and then say see all results, here is a full page worth of all kinds of information about recommendations. Here's an overview of recommendations. Here's what happens when you request a recommendations. Here's how you accept or dismiss a recommendation that someone has sent to you, etc. You know, I used to be an IT geek. Well, I'm still an IT geek, I admit it, okay, but my IT now is a lot different than when I was working in a corporation. And I used to actually build systems for people. And when I built those systems, I used to have to build a help system that went along with it. And the help system is correlated with it. And I got to tell you that in all the help systems I've ever seen in my life, LinkedIn Help is outstanding, or at least it would be if you could find it. Now you can find it, okay? Because now you can find all kinds of interesting information about any phrase that you go out there and ask for. So look up things like recommendation, look up things like skills, and it'll give you the ability to how you should put your skills on your LinkedIn profile and what it means to get endorsed for your skills, etc. Okay, so that's the help button. Any other questions before I go on?
I actually had a question because I was totally unaware that I can only be followed. So I didn't even mean to do that. So is there any chance you can show us where that happens?
Let's use the help again, okay? Let's use the help, and I'm going to open it up and basically let's talk about the follow button. All right, LinkedIn page, follow this LinkedIn page, connect with people using a follow button on your profile. Follow and unfollow. I'm trying to find the setting that would be this. And it's going to be a little difficult for me unless I just go into settings. That's another thing that LinkedIn loves to hide as well, by the way. I can try to find it. It might take a little long, but that's about any company page, following a company page. Okay, connecting with people. That's kind of what I gave you a little bit earlier. Okay, so here's differences between following, okay, and connecting. That's one that I recommend that you maybe should look at, okay, etc. But I'm not finding what I'm after in the help here immediately. That would tell me that I've got my follow button on. Okay. Let me show you where that would normally be, and I'm not going to spend a great deal of time, Lauren, trying to find it because it may take too long. But if I can find it immediately, I'll definitely do it. That's another place under me that you might want to look and visit every once in a while as well. Because under me, there's this thing that's right above help called settings and privacy. So this is a computer program, and you can do this with just like with any other app. There are settings for this app. And when you get into settings and privacy, it will open up this kind of thing, and it will say, okay, here's information about your account. Here's sign in and security. It has multiple tabs here that you can change the settings on. Now, if I look at this, okay, what I'm looking for is something that would have to do with turning my follow on or not. And I don't see it. It might be under data privacy. Job seeking preferences is a good one. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Visibility. I think it's down here. Here we go. Followers. That's it. Okay, so that's where it was. I went into settings and privacy, clicked on visibility. Under visibility of your LinkedIn activity, I clicked followers. And this is where the follow button is turned on or off. Okay, and mine's on as well because I prefer to be followed as well. Because I'm not looking to connect with every single person, but I am looking to have people follow me, and that way I can help them. Because if they follow me, then they will see my stuff in their online feed. They will see my stuff in their LinkedIn feed. It's okay, you good with this? Well, you've got it in the recording if you need it later as well.
Yes, thank you so much. Because
Okay.
I literally didn't.
Now, let's talk about that for a second as well. Again, you can follow a company, you can follow a person, you can follow someone's page, and that's a services page as an example. There's lots of different places you can follow, but the follow button, and if you went to my profile, which by the way, I'm going to cover this right now so that we have enough time so that I make sure that I give you something that you can come back to again and again and again, okay? I'm the LinkedIn guru, so guess what's on my LinkedIn profile? A whole bunch of LinkedIn tips. And the only thing that you have to do, please, in order to do this, is that you can go to my profile and please do so. I would appreciate it if you take a look at me, and you would, when you go to my profile, you will see a follow button. So please click the follow button, because that way in the future, okay, you've told LinkedIn that you're following me, and therefore when I post something, you've actually got a chance of seeing it if you're on at the right time in your own homepage feed, okay? However, one of the things that I highly recommend that you do as a person who wants to feature things that are important to you and important for other people to see on your profile is I want to talk about a section on your profile. If you add a profile section, if you're thinking about adding something that's important on LinkedIn, adding a profile section, that the core things are obviously you should add your education, you should add a current position, you should add a career break if you haven't actually had one, you should add skills. But in the recommended section, there's something called add featured section. This featured section will allow you to feature your content or anyone else's content that you want to share in your industry, that you can then, when someone comes to your profile, they'll see that you featured something if they scroll down enough to see the featured section. There's my featured section. So I got to my profile, scroll down a little bit to where it says featured, and here is my featured section. Now, the reason I'm bringing you here is because if nothing else, I want to talk about these first three items in my featured section, because they're the most important things that I can give you today, okay? First thing is that I've actually featured, and I actually do a newsletter on LinkedIn. Now, this is not a spammy newsletter. This is a newsletter about how to be effective on LinkedIn. So if you want more tips about how to be effective on LinkedIn, come to here, click the subscribe button, and then LinkedIn will inform you when I publish my monthly newsletter, okay? And by the way, I want to make sure you understand that subscribing here on LinkedIn is totally different than if you subscribe to an email newsletter, as an example, okay? Because this subscription does not show me your email. So therefore, take that to the next step, okay? If I never see your email, I can never send you any spam, okay? So you get the best of both worlds. You get tips on LinkedIn from me, if you want to see them every single month, if you subscribe. But there's no possibility of me sending you any spam because I will never even see your email. Okay, so it's that good, and that way, and then when you click on here, okay, it will actually, if you subscribe, then click on my newsletter, click on this newsletter, it will actually take you to my newsletter page. And as you can see, I've done 21 editions over time. So if nothing else, you could go out once a week and look at these 21 editions of my newsletter. And these are all about how to be effective on LinkedIn. Okay. Okay. Now, in addition to featured newsletter, what I've also done is featured, there are different kinds of things that you can feature. And once you get into featured, you'll see that. I featured a newsletter. Here I featured a post that I did, and here I featured a document. This second one is one of my more recent posts, and I won't go into the details on it, but I wanted you to see it so that you understand. I actually collaborated with the lady that I was actually talking with this morning in Las Vegas, Jillian Whitney, who is actually the easy peasy video queen. So if you want to know more about video, I highly recommend you look up Jillian Whitney, okay, and find her from Las Vegas and follow her as well, or connect with her. She will connect with you. But this is a follow-up document post that was about a live session that she and I did that was about saving your time and sanity on LinkedIn. So if you want to be more effective and more efficient, I highly recommend that you go look at this. And that will end up being a post which actually has what's called a slider in it. It's like having a PowerPoint deck, but it's basically about 30 slides worth of information that you can peruse through at your leisure. Okay? So that's my stuff. That's my stuff in combination with Jillian. Okay, and my stuff, obviously, the very first thing is my newsletter. But then I've featured someone else's thing up here as well. There's a lady by the name of Shelly Elslinger. As you can see, here's Shelly's name. Okay, and I just sent this to Lauren, so she can email it to you, but you can also have access to it here as well, because this is a document that I've featured. It's a document post is actually a separate kind of post. It's a post that actually contains a PDF document. And in this PDF document, Shelly has created an assessment that, especially if you want to improve your profile, especially if you want to improve your approach to LinkedIn, Shelly is a lady that I've known for about the last 4 or 5 years, and I've never actually physically met, okay, face to face. She used to live in Toronto. She now lives in Nova Scotia. She moved a little bit farther east, so she's actually a full time zone ahead of me now. But Shelly and I have grown to know one another so well. And here's another networking tip, folks. Inside of LinkedIn, I've met people that are just as wonderful as Shelly. And she allows me to share this document of hers because it is an assessment of how to be more truly LinkedIn, how to do a good job on your profile, etc. on LinkedIn. And it's an assessment of yes or no questions. It's an assessment of 200 yes or no questions. Okay, so I doubt that you're going to be able to do this all in one sitting, but you could do it over time. And I'll show you how you could actually download it here in a second, or you can get it from Lauren. But my point being is that I've grown very, very fond of Shelly. As a matter of fact, even though I've never met Shelly in person, I call Shelly my sister from another mister because we've actually gotten that close together. And she and I, for the last 2 to 3 years, have actually shared, virtually of course, Christmas presents. So you can actually build those kinds of relationships on LinkedIn. And Shelly is a wonderful person to know and follow. And she is truly, I call her, well, you can see the guy in blue behind me, right? Okay. I mean, that's the theme of this, because honestly, I introduce myself sometimes by saying, hi, Jeff Young. Hi, I'm Jeff Young. I'm a teacher. I actually do this every once in a while. What's your superpower? Okay. So I bet you didn't think anyone was going to disrobe on this on this Zoom call today, but there you have it. I just did. So anyway, I call Shelly, in addition to my sister from another mister, I call Shelly the LinkedIn Wonder Woman, okay? Because she is that good at LinkedIn, believe me. And here's how, if you go to my featured section and click on this document, it will bring up this, which will then allow you, everybody see this? Everybody got a good shot at this? Speak up if you can't see it, because this is one way that you can actually go through this document one at a time. Okay, you could do it online if you want to. Okay, but that's a small window, okay? And it's a little difficult to read some of the smaller print sometimes. Down in the lower right-hand corner of any document post like this that you see on LinkedIn is this box. It doesn't even tell me what it will do when I point at it, but I'll tell you what it does. It goes full screen. Ah, I can actually see it now. Okay. Now, the key to being full screen is not only just to do that because you want to be able to see and read it easier, but when you do full screen, you then get this button. Can everybody see what I'm pointing at up here in the upper right-hand corner? That's a download button. And when I click that download button, it would say scanning it for viruses, if you have a virus protection piece of software. And then it would say ready to download. And then all you have to do is click the download button and tell it where you want to download it. And you can offload this. And then you can go through these 200 questions at your leisure. As an example, though, let me talk about one of these questions. For example, the very first question on Shelley's assessment is, do you have a customized background photo? That's what I mentioned to Lauren before about putting some words as well as your picture up there. Connecting you to industry, that does that, okay? Business, interest, or specialty. And again, that's a picture. That's a great thing to have a picture, but it might be a better picture if it actually has some words on it as well that tell people what you do up at the front. Okay, and that's the very first one, and I'm obviously not going to go through all 200 of these, but now you see how you can get access to this as much as you want to, and that was all from my featured section. That's an interesting look. That wasn't what I wanted to do at all. There we go. It's repainting, and so we're back at my featured section, and there's a whole lot more here. Okay, this is open 24/7, 365. Anytime you want to come to my profile, check out my featured section. As you scroll to the right on my featured section, you'll see where actually I've got my online seminars coming up as a possibility. If you want to take a moment, please do this one as well. Click the video here because this is an intro video for me. It's a 2-minute video that will tell you all about what I do and how I do it and why I do it. Okay, and by the way, you creating a video that does that for yourself might not be such a bad idea as well, and putting that in your featured section, if you're into video. And if you're not sure how to do video, or you're not sure, how to make the best use of video, go back to Jillian Whitney, the lady that I talked about before, because Jillian Whitney is all things video. And as you can see the first 5 or so, but then you can look at all 34 of the things that are in my featured section. So there's 34 things that I featured in here, some of which is a slight repeat because all 21 of my newsletters is actually also in my featured section as well, so that people have another chance of finding it. Okay, I've talked enough. Something went wrong. That just means that they're having issues going to the feed, which that means LinkedIn down for a second, and it'll be right back. There, I'm back. I got to shut up now because the teacher has to do something called a teacher pause every once in a while. So I'm going to let you ask questions. Please do so.
So I have a question with regards to LinkedIn Premium and like the different modes. When is it worth getting that subscription, and who is it? Like, I know there's different tier, like there's some that are for like people who want to like network or make themselves like I don't know, like I don't want to say business, but kind of grow their brand. And there's one where you want to like just get a job. Like, I understand that difference, but like, when is it actually worth it? You know what I mean? Like, kind of a little bit more nuanced, because I read the description and it's not really clear to me, like when I look at all the different tiers.
Okay. Well, you're right. There are 4 different packages. Okay. So for everyone else's benefit, the 4 different packages are career, which is the least expensive. That's about 30 or 40 bucks a month. Career means that you're looking for a job. Okay. There's another package called business package. Okay, there's another package called recruit. Business packages if you're going to own a business. That's a good thing to do. And as a matter of fact, that's the one that I use. Now, even though I don't charge for what I do, I want to have the capability that business package gives to me. Because what ends up happening is that well, let me finish the packages and then I'll come back to the major differences between them. There's 2 packages that probably none of you folks will be interested in, and they're the highest level and most expensive packages. And one of them is called Recruiter. Recruiter is the package that all the recruiters in the world out there use, okay? And I am talking about nearly all the recruiters in the world. 94% of recruiters in the United States, as an example, 94% of recruiters in the United States use LinkedIn Recruiter. Okay, so being on LinkedIn is a good thing because you can tell recruiters that you're open to being found. But that's the most expensive package because that's how LinkedIn got its start, really, as a recruiting package. Final package is something called boy, I lost it. Sales Navigator. That's if the people who are into sales want the sales capabilities, and it even includes things like CRM, customer relationship management, inside of that will allow them to keep track of customers and potential prospects, etc. So you're probably not interested in that one as well. Okay, so now the major difference between the package that I'm assuming Lauren bought, which is Career. Tell me if I'm wrong, Lauren. Do you remember?
Oh, I'm actually using a free year
Oh,
I'm in like a free trial.
that's right, because if you're a veteran, you can get a free year's worth of LinkedIn if you prove you're a veteran. Premium, okay? So that's a good idea. I don't know what one that they gave you, but it's one that was specifically for veterans as an example. But okay, let's talk about the differences. The major difference in the career package, which is probably the one that you folks would be most interested in, the premium package is $30, $40 a month, is that it will allow you to, number one, okay, see every single person who's ever viewed your profile for the last 90 days. Now, that's good, except that if you go out there and you look at, if you're looking at your profile and your dashboard says, you've had, over the last week, you've had 5 views, LinkedIn will show you 5 views for free. Okay, so if I've had 5 views over the last week, and LinkedIn will show me 5 views for free, how often would I have to go out to LinkedIn to see who's viewed my profile? You doing the math? Okay, it shows you 5. I'd only have to go out once a week. If I had 5 views a day, and LinkedIn will still show me the last 5, okay, that would still allow me to go out once a day and see who's viewed my profile. So again, it's not that important that you pay for LinkedIn to see that unless you need that capability. So it depends on your capabilities, okay, and it depends on your actual needs. Here's my take on premium. Okay, I'm using it because I'm trying to make sure that I can effectively do whatever I need to do when I need to do it. One of the things that LinkedIn will limit you on is the number of searches. And oh, by the way, okay, there is something called a commercial search limit. So once you get to the end of your searches for a month, you have to wait. It doesn't mean you can't search. It just means that LinkedIn won't show you all the results. So it'll only show you the top 3 or 4 results. And if that's enough for you, that's again a reason that you wouldn't need to pay for LinkedIn. Here's my take on the premium in general, okay? I see a lot of people who are just starting out on LinkedIn, and if they haven't really gotten beneath the covers and determined how to use LinkedIn, they're not using 5% of what you can do for free on LinkedIn in the first place. So I would rather you'd spend time figuring out how to get what you need for free, or asking someone else to help you to get what you need for free, than spending the 30 or 40 bucks a month that you could be spending on coffee and going out to networking meetings. Okay, it's probably that much simpler. However, in the case of Lauren, she's got a free year because she's a veteran. In your case, you could also get a free month because LinkedIn will have a button that you could press that says, here's premium for a month for free, try it. I'm not telling you not to do that. That would be a good thing. But here's the 2 things that I want you to do if you take LinkedIn's premium for free for a month. First thing is, beat the bejesus out of it, okay? I mean, really beat it up. Figure it out. Bang on it as much as you can in that month. And oh, by the way, one of the things that you get for that free month is something called LinkedIn Learning, okay, which is LinkedIn Learning courses, which you can go access any of them and all of them as much as you want for that free month as well, okay? But the reason I want you to pound on it is that I want you to figure out what you're getting for that premium for free for a month and figure out if that's something that you want to keep, okay? Then the second thing is, do yourself and me and yourself a favor, and that is if you get to 25 days and you have not determined that you really do want to pay for LinkedIn, for heaven's sake, cancel the subscription before they charge your credit card. Okay. Oh, I got to tell you, I have heard so many horror stories about this. Okay. Because there are two things that I found also on LinkedIn. That there are two words that LinkedIn cannot define: prorate and refund. Okay. So don't go there unless you absolutely think it is worth the time and trouble. Because again, for the majority of my time on LinkedIn, I have been on LinkedIn since May of 2004 with the free account, and I've been able to build a brand and build a business, if you will. Okay, the LinkedIn Guru is a business, even though I don't charge for what I do, but it's a business, and it shows up as a business on LinkedIn, and I get found because of that, and I don't have to pay them any money. So again, that may be a long-winded way of saying so, but only do premium if you really want to test it and you really want to kick the tires for a month, because I don't believe premium is really that useful. There's at least one thing on premium that I will show you that I really love that they just added to premium. Okay. And this one might actually be worth the money to go for it. It's also related to those profile views. This was not there before. First of all, if you're for free, you will not get this graph. Okay, it's a neat little graph, big deal. Okay, so it shows me over the last 90 days that I've had 1,470, and here's per week each of my hits on LinkedIn, or and it won't tell me who. But if I pay for LinkedIn, the list goes on and on and on. Okay, this is everybody who's viewed my profile in the last 90 days. But here's the real kicker, and why I think that sometimes it might actually be worth just this, paying for LinkedIn, is because now that they have changed this and made premium more beneficial than the free. In this particular instance, inside of LinkedIn, now I can actually do filters that were not there before. So in the people who have looked at me, I can actually filter that by company. And this is, by the way, the people who have looked at me, the top 5 companies that have actually looked at me. Now, you want a way of actually coming up with a possible target company. This might be a way of doing it, because somebody at that company looked at you, so you might want to look back very, very heavily. And oh, by the way, here's the top 5 industries that have looked at me. And here are the top 5 locations that have looked at me. So look at that. Columbus, Ohio is not even the top location. I get more people visiting my profile from New York than Columbus, Ohio. I don't know why, but I do have connections in New York. I know people in New York, and somehow those people have ended up finding my stuff and want to come see me some more. But they're out doing Columbus, Ohio, which is my hometown. Okay, and where I have most of my connections, for that matter. So that would tell you, by the way, that probably the people in New York City are not connected with me. The most of the people that are looking at my profile are not connected with me, as an example. Okay, so that's maybe one of the reasons why premium. I'm going to use this a lot, believe me, because I'm going to find people that I really want to network with by looking at those kind of industries and other things. Because if I want to do somebody, of those people, all I got to do is click the professional training and coaching industry, and there are the 77 people that have looked at my profile. And as you notice, those 77 people that have looked at my profile, okay, 1 out of 2 out of 4, 3 out of 5, 3 out of 6, 3 out of 7, 3 out of 8, 4 out of 9, 5 out of 10. Only 50% of those people are the people that I'm connected with. So those other people are possible good connections with me because of the fact that they are doing something in an industry that I'm already involved in. That makes sense? Okay. Now, I know we're getting close, so we have
Thank you
time.
for that. That was very informative. Like,
You're more than welcome. Again, I've toyed with the idea a lot over time as to whether or not to pay for this. And because they've started to enhance, one of the things that they've actually taken my suggestion on is that I think that LinkedIn is actually starting to enhance the premium version, but not take anything away from the free version. So they're going to give you extra stuff in it. And I kind of waved the flag and said, well, that's not a good idea, LinkedIn, when they took the graph away from the free version. Okay, because I kind of like the graph. It showed you trends, right? I love graphs. They show you trends. Okay, but at least now they've enhanced the premium. Okay, questions? Anything else, please ask.
Oh, we did have another question in the chat. Lydia's asking, how do you add more than one icon next to your profile? Like how I had the Wayne State logo. She's asking, can I also add a Coast Guard logo if I wanted to my profile?
Add it where?
I believe, I know it's on the profile when you're looking on the profile. It's kind of hard to,
Yours or mine?
on my profile,
Okay.
there's like a
So let's look
Wayne.
at yours again and let's talk about what icon are we talking about?
Oh, you see the Wayne State University? I think she's asking right there. Oh, at the top.
Oh, well, that's automatic because that's your education. You have that in your education section. You picked Wayne State University out of a list of things when you started typing the name, and that comes up there. Okay, so if you have a company, your company might show up there as well. Okay, a company shows up above, but I think the key to this and the advice that I would tell you is that if you're going to add anything, a company or anything that you do on LinkedIn, let me go and show you what I'm talking about when I talk about my education section. If I was going to add Wayne State University, the best way to do that is, and I got to go down to my education section. If I'm adding an education or a company or whatever here, okay, click in here and start typing something that you want to make sure is a match. Always pick it from the pull down menu. That way it will always have the logo with it. Okay, that's a mistake a lot of people make as well. See, this is something that matches, but it doesn't even have a logo, so it's not real in terms of LinkedIn. That's why, for example, if you look at my profile again, okay, that's why, for example, my education, this is actually my education listing. I've actually used my education listing to add another link to my newsletter. But when I typed in newsletter and the LinkedIn Guru Gazette, there's no real school with that name, so I don't have an icon with it. Okay, but I have a company page that actually does have an icon. It might look familiar, okay, because there's my company page. So when you go into my company page, you're actually going to see something that looks slightly familiar, and that would be this. Okay, and I'm trying to keep it on brand here, but that's how I put a logo up there that had this, that says, I'm a teacher, what's your superpower? So logos are important, and the more graphics that you can have that match logos is best as well. That's a good one. Anything else? Okay, again, one more thing that I'll show you. And I think that one would be, let's see. Yes, actually it's a different version of my newsletter. Okay, so it's only one back, but this is one that I highly recommend that someone is just starting out and you want to make sure that they approach it by the numbers, if you will. Okay, which I'm kind of from that engineering standpoint. I like a process. I do this first, I do this second, I do this third, etc. Okay, this will give you a lot of that. And inside of this one, be effective by the numbers, says a couple of things that are related to your profile, but then also what you can do to complete your profile and then what you can do to optimize your profile. And optimizing your profile, we'll be talking about graphics, and it will be talking about text, and it will be talking about keywords, and it will be talking about, putting the right things on your profile, because the more of the right things you have on your profile, the better chance you have of getting found. Okay, I'm going to shut up in case there's another question. Please, another question. I love questions. Do it.
I was actually going to ask about putting a resume on LinkedIn. Do you think that we should put that in like the featured section? Just put like a document in the featured section?
Actually, I don't recommend it. I think that's a good, I said this up front earlier, Lauren. Your resume's the steak, your LinkedIn is the sizzle. Making the two of them together is not a good idea. Okay, they're used for they're two different tools used for two different purposes. Okay, your resume should be something that, in case someone hasn't told you about this, is something that you tailor, that you're going to submit a resume for a specific job description because you tailored your resume to match that job description, right? LinkedIn can be tailored as well, but it's so much broader than a resume that it's really not a good idea to put your resume on LinkedIn, because people who, first of all, someone who you apply to a job, they see your resume, they look at your resume, and guess what? The very next thing that you're going to look at is your LinkedIn profile, because they're going to see what you look like on social media. And when you do that, you should show them something extra, something different. Okay. For example, one of the rules of thumb about your resume is that you should never use the word I, although they may be changing that rule, but you should never use the word I. Hey, I'm telling you, in my about section, I start my about section, okay, with something that says, a call to action, but then I also use the word I, because your resume is a bunch of bullet points normally, because you've only got a certain amount of space. Your LinkedIn profile is a conversation with whoever happens to come out here. So it has a different tone. It should actually talk to whoever comes to your profile, so that they can actually see who you are from a personal as well as professional standpoint. Now, I don't mean the fact that you have 4 dogs and 3 cats and that kind of stuff. Not necessarily that kind of personal stuff, but personal stuff that is your value systems and the things that you love to do. Okay. And again, I'm trying to convince somebody to click the see more here, because I tell people that, I've done over 200 free seminars. If you're looking for a LinkedIn trainer, I'm your guy. Okay. And I've been on, I was one of the first 600,000 members to ever join LinkedIn. And oh, by the way, I was one of the first 600,000 members. There are now 810 million of your closest friends on LinkedIn. Okay. So it's a huge database of networking possibilities all over the world. So does that make sense? Again, they shouldn't disagree, the resume and LinkedIn, but they are different formats because they're different approaches to the same thing. Again, the way I summarized it before is your resume is the steak, LinkedIn is the sizzle. It's your marketing brochure. Okay, even though your resume should be some of that marketing as well. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it up there, because if somebody looks at your resume, then comes to LinkedIn, you only get to put one copy of it up there anyway, right? And if they see the same thing on LinkedIn as they saw on your resume, they get kind of bored. Oh, I already saw that. There's no extra information here. Okay. Okay. How are we doing, folks? Did I do okay? You got any other questions? I'd love to answer any other questions you might have. In case you hadn't noticed, I absolutely love LinkedIn. I mean, literally, I have used LinkedIn to just take me global, make me the LinkedIn guru in more ways than one. I mean, if you go out to Google and you do a search on Google for hashtag the LinkedIn guru, you will see just tons of my stuff, and most of that is related to what I've done on LinkedIn. Okay, so it's just amazing to me that it's such a great tool, and I enjoy it because I've gotten to talk to so many other smart people that can help me do what I need to do as well. It's a wonderful networking tool.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you. Like that was, I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting to not learn much, but I learned like quite a bit. Like I
That's
definitely.
wonderful. Thank you. That's great. A teacher loves hearing that. That's music to this old guru's ears.
I definitely learned a lot as well. And that
That's
people can
fantastic.
only follow me, and I had no idea.
Yep. Well,
I'm
and
grateful.
again, I'm out there, Lauren. Contact Lauren or grab that document, myself. Believe me, you can keep yourself busy for hours going out there and just looking at my profile and trying to find some stuff that would help you on LinkedIn. But that's why I'm here, and I have what's called, I will admit this, okay, to all the folks that are still on the call. I have what's called an open profile, which means that since my profile is open, you can send me a message without being connected to me. So if you have a question later on, you can send me a message, and I can hopefully point you in the right direction. Because I'm glad to do that, because that's what I do. I help people use LinkedIn effectively.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate you offering to help us
My
out.
pleasure.
Thank
Involved.
you.
Namaste, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much to everyone for coming. Everyone have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye. And Jeff, I'll make sure you get this recording as well sent to you.
That would be great. And as long as you guys don't mind if I would actually drop that up on my, I mean, in my experience section, Lauren, there's a section of a profile of my profile that's called LinkedIn Live and Podcast Guest. And a lot of my videos have links in there to, there must be 30 or 40 different videos up there. So those are
Okay.
videos that
Yeah,
people can watch to learn more about it as well.
of course, whatever we can do to help you out, since you volunteered your time. So I really appreciate you coming
That's
here.
great. No, I love being able to put that up there because it gives another one that hopefully will give somebody something they didn't know about before. And it changes so frequently over time. That bit that I just mentioned about the filters on, the who's viewed your profile, that wasn't even there a week or two ago. Yep, it's all brand new. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if I can be of any other help, please don't hesitate to ask.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your help.
My pleasure, Lauren. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.